It's your boy Uncle Fred with my main man TK. We're about to do our weekly NCAA video, and we're just gonna do 3 games, preview 3 games, and and we're gonna talk about them and then see how our picks go. And we're gonna talk about that here in just a minute. You guys just stay with us, hang tight, and we'll be right back. What's good, TK? Good to be with you again.
Yes, sir. What's good? What's good?
Everything is everything. Saturday morning, maybe slightly almost peeking into the afternoon. Got a lot of college football, but we're just gonna preview 3 games today, man. Everything going good in your world, man?
Absolutely, man. Fortunately, yeah. Let's do it, man.
All right, let's get into it, man. So we got 3, I think, like I want to say major games that we're going to talk about today that I think warrant our attention. And all right, so just for S's and G's, I went 2 and 3 in my 5 picks last week. Hey man. I mean, what are you gonna do, man? I mean, who knew Tennessee was gonna roll into Alabama and do that? Who knew that? And everybody, I guess everybody knew Penn State was gonna lose to Michigan. Michigan's on something this year or whatever. I just thought Penn State might be a little more buttoned up, and I was wrong. And I was wrong on LSU in Florida. I was right on USC and Utah, and so it works like that. But anyway. This week, we're going to start off in the SEC with Ole Miss at LSU. And so starting off, just kind of setting it up, Ole Miss rolls into Baton Rouge undefeated. I think they are 6-0. What is interesting about Ole Miss this year is that when you think of golly, you know how names leave my mind. What's the head coach of LSU or Ole Miss?
Lane Kiffin.
Lane Kiffin. When you think of Lane Kiffin, you think like creative offense. You think like all these multiple formations. You think of like passes all up and down the field, throwing it all over the place, and all that sort of stuff. But this team is different because they lead the league in rushing, and they come in with rushing average like 270 yards a game. And got 2 guys in the backfield that rushed for over 600 yards. And Q Judkins, I think his name is Q-Shawn Judkins, and Zach Evans. They lead the country in 24 rushing touchdowns. So you wouldn't think of Lane Kiffin and running the football to be in the same universe, but they are. And then you get LSU, which kind of started off slow. I think they lost to Florida State early, and then kind of like was kind of finding their way, and they got blew out by Tennessee a couple of weeks ago. Then they kind of found their way last week against Florida, and so they kind of on a sort of an uptick. So you got Ole Miss coming into Baton Rouge, into Death Valley, trying to solidify themselves and trying to fortify themselves in the SEC West to be a player, to be with the Alabamas and the other teams that are in the West that still feel like they got an opportunity to play first Saturday in December in Atlanta. And so I feel like, man, this is an opportunity for Ole Miss to go in there and do something and prove that they are number 7 worthy. And LSU, who's got a new coaching staff, and Brian Kelly coming over from Notre Dame, felt like at Notre Dame I got talent, but I'm hindered by scholastic requirements and stuff like that. So you can go to LSU and get the same quality of player, maybe even better, and aren't hampered by that. And maybe I feel like in a year or two I can be challenging Nick and Kirby Smart for SEC supremacy. So he's slowly building that. So I don't know. What's your feelings about this game, if any?
I'm gonna definitely pick Ole Miss. I think they're on a collision course to see Bama for a big time game later. I kind of want to see that just on a personal tip because I love Lane Kiffin's attitude and disposition about things. Be a nice style clash with Nick.
Oh, yeah.
So, and on the on-field product is solid. I've watched a couple of their games, think like 2 or 3 to be honest. But I know they got the Jackson Dart. They have a creative offense. To your point, they got a really good boundary receiver, and his name is
his name is Jonathan Mingo.
Mingo, correct?
Yes,
so,
yes.
I really like Mingo. To your point again, they do run the ball really well. So I expect them to be able to put up enough points to win this game in Baton Rouge.
Yeah.
The offense for LSU, to me, still remains problematic. Their best player, they still struggle getting the ball to their best player, Kayshon Boutte. So
which would be Kayshon Boutte.
Yeah. So if they can figure out a way to get him involved and actually make him a fundamental part of the offense, then the game will be interesting to me. But I got Ole Miss. I would like for them to keep winning, get the Bama unblemished, so we can have a big time week when that comes. So yeah, man, that's me, just pure emotions in my pick.
Yeah, I feel you on that.
Yeah.
Let me add to that. Like you was talking about the key players here. We talked about Jackson Dart, who's a transfer from USC. Kind of a game manager. 1,400 yards, 11 touchdowns. He also rushed for I think like 6 touchdowns. And like I said, they got a tandem of Judkins and Evans in the backfield. This mid-season, you usually don't see a team with 2 guys with over 600 yards. With Judkins leading the SEC with 720. I mean, they just slam the ball down your throat, man. So that's what Ole Miss is doing. And then I'm guessing the way they roll it, it's going to be some play action. And you talked about Jonathan Mingo. Jonathan Mingo only has 22 catches this year, but they for 507 yards. So that means you get them 8, 9 guys on the line of scrimmage, and it's like, he done got behind, and it's like a 30-yard touchdown or a 40-yard touchdown. So he's averaging 23 yards a catch. That's unheard of, for a dude to catch, for that many yards and stuff. So that's kind of the way they're going to choose to do it. But I know LSU's got a lot of good press man cover corners and stuff, so which they're known for. So they're led by Jaden Daniels, transfer from Arizona State. He's got like 1,500 yards. Got 2 consecutive 300-yard passing games, accompanied with a 70% completion percentage, which that's pretty good for him. Which I thought he couldn't throw early in the season, man. It looked like he couldn't hit the broadside of a barn with a guitar. So, but now he's starting to hit. He's got 10 passing touchdowns, 6 rushing touchdowns. Also the leading rusher for LSU for 403 yards. But here's the thing, and it's always a side thing, because I think talent-wise, man, I think this is a slam dunk. Because I think top to bottom, I think Ole Miss has more talent. I think LSU has talent in certain positions like wide receiver and certain places like that. Maybe defensive line. KJ Ojulari, one of the best defensive ends in college. But here's the thing: with all the chips on the table, and all the stuff leading, pushing towards what you're looking for, with them meeting that showdown in a couple of weeks at Bama, Can they go into Baton Rouge? You know, it's kind of a tough place to play. And so that's the thing I'm going over with in my mind. And even though all the numbers and the measurables say Ole Miss should win that, they should probably win it by a touchdown or two, 10 points at least. I kind of got a feeling LSU going to handle them. I don't know why. I just feel like it just seems like in these conferences, we're going to talk about that in our next game too, when all the measurables seem to go one way and then they're playing in this hostile environment, a lot of times that's kind of what wins the game. So even though I have no reason to think LSU should be able to beat them, but I'm going to pick them. And we'll see. And that's how this thing goes. Sometimes a team has no reason to beat this. Team A has no reason to beat Team B, but somehow they come up with the dub. And I don't know why, but I'm going to pick LSU. I'm going to probably be wrong, but it makes for a good show when we disagree. So I'm going to go with LSU on this one, and we'll see how that goes on next week. So my man TK got Ole Miss, and he's taking conventional logic, and I should take the same thing. But I'm gonna go wild. I'm gonna go rogue, and I'm gonna go LSU. And I think LSU wins by a field goal.
Okay? Yeah, I think if Ole Miss start doing those wild, funky plays, double reverse.
But Lane Kiffin want to do those things.
If they get that stuff going and start putting up points in a hurry, I think I'm not sure LSU can keep up, but. We'll see, man. They're at home, and to your point, historically, it's been a big advantage for them at home. So
we'll see. So me and TK splitting on that one. I got LSU. He got Ole Miss. So we'll see next week how that thing goes out. Okay. All right. Our second game is a monster game, in my opinion. In terms of, on the other side of the country. Yeah. A lot of time the other side of the country don't get love in this part of the world and whatnot, but I try to keep an eye on all the stuff and all the players in this bowl championship thing that we got going on, championship. Yeah. So I look at all the participants, and sometimes the Pac-12 don't get no love. So but it's going to be UCLA at Oregon, and UCLA is coming off of a bye, after which I guess you could call it an upset, but they upset or beat Utah. I think it was like 32 to like 18. It was like a 30 to 18. It was like a kind of a convincing win. They come into it number 9, I believe, in the country. I think they're 6-0. Led by Dorian Thompson-Robinson, DTR. Yeah. One of the best kept secrets in college football.
I just got familiar with him, so yeah.
Yeah. He kind of like one of them best kept secrets. I started looking. I said, "Oh, this dude." Now I'm gonna tell you something about DTR. DTR about 30 years old now. I'm kidding. Obviously, I'm kidding. I'm saying that because he's been playing college football since 2018. Okay, but we know he's one of what they call one of them super seniors that got some extra years of eligibility due to some things, So he's been on the roster ever since 2018. Of course, we in 2022, and so yeah, I think honestly, I think he's like 22, 23. I had to throw that in there. I'm like, dang, he's been playing since 2018. Goodness. But the dude, man, he's got 12. He's thrown for 12 touchdowns and rushed for 8. And like I said, they roll into this game going to Autzen Stadium, which is a tough place to play. Oregon comes in the game having won 5 straight after getting mollywopped in the first game against Georgia, kind of letting them know how the SEC get down. Of course, now the coach of Oregon used to be the defensive coordinator of Georgia, so it's sort of like you would thought he would have known, like, oh, I know these players, I know how to play, and it don't matter. Coaching matters, but talent kind of trumps coaching if you got, So Yeah, I know what you're doing, but I still can't stop it. And I think they beat them like 40-3 or something like that. Some outrageous thing like that. And that's their only loss. They've kind of incrementally got better each week. And so they find themselves, I think, 5-1. And this is an interesting game, man, because UCLA is trying to push towards winning the Pac-12 title, and of course that showdown with USC is going to be, hoping they were hoping they both would be undefeated in that game. That would have been one that would, been for the books. But USC got clipped last week by Utah. So anyway, what are your feelings on this one, man? Oregon got Bo Nix playing quarterback, which I was like, dude, why would all the quarterbacks you could have transfer? He's a transfer from Auburn. You pick Bo Nix, but hey. Not doing too bad so far, man. Look like he's got like 1,400 yards and like 12 touchdowns. Not doing too bad, man. Not doing too bad at all. What are your thoughts on this game? I'm going to Oregon. Okay. Now, I thought that you would say by the same token. Because really, if you look at these two games, UCLA is Ole Miss. They got the quarterback and they got the running back. The running back has the coolest name in college. I think Zach Charbonnet. Love that dude's name, man. Charbonnet. Don't let just roll off your tongue, man. I love that. Charbonnet. It's like you just pop the top on that and pour a glass of it. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, he leads the Pac-12. Huh? What was that?
Please heard that joke a million times.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah. I'm sure that like, okay, yeah, I get it. Yeah, pop the top. Yeah, I got it. Yeah. I'm sure he got that out growing up or whatever. But that's a cool name, man. I like his name. But he leads the Pac-12 in rushing, averaging like 123 yards a game. And these are the two top rushing teams in the Pac-12. Oregon leads it with I think 240 yards a game, and I think UCLA comes in at like 211 yards a game. And when you look at the numbers, UCLA would seem to have the better players with Thompson Robinson, and then their running back, and then they got a receiver. God, I can't remember the kid's name. I had it wrote down too. But he's got like 27 catches for like 479 and 3 touchdowns or whatever.
Bobo?
Bobo. That's his name. Yeah. Bobo.
That's him.
Kind of got, I would say covered up last week by Phillips, one of the better corners for Utah. I think he only had like 3 catches for like 30 yards. But the week before, I think it was against Washington, he had like 5 for like 140 yards and a couple of touchdowns. So he's a good receiver now. But if you look on paper, you would think UCLA would win it. But I'm gonna tell you something. Just like I was talking about Baton Rouge, man, going into Autzen Stadium, that's a tough place to play, man. And of course now Chip Kelly ought to know something. Who's the coach of UCLA? Ought to know because he kind of built that. He kind of built that in Oregon because he took Oregon to a couple of national championship appearances a few years back. So he's very familiar with them surroundings. So of course now you can tell your players what it's going to be like all day long until they get in there and it's 85, 90,000. They screaming and all that green and whatever is going and all that stuff is going and. It's a whole different thing. So, and I think Oregon's kind of finding its stride. So I think I'm going to agree with you. All my conventional wisdom would tell me UCLA would be the pick because I think Chip Kelly is doing his thing. He's been there for like 3 years. He's got UCLA believing in themselves. But I just think Oregon is just going to think I just think that they're going to be a deer in the headlights when they go to Autzen Stadium. So I got Oregon winning that one, and I think it's going to be a good game, though. So I'm waiting for that. And that's going to be 2:30. I would have thought that would have been a night game, but that's a 2:30 game. So you got Oregon, I got Oregon, and we're going to see how that one go. But I think that's going to be a great game to watch. So we're going to see.
Yeah, it'll be fun. It'll be exciting. A lot of scoring. I think the whole team gets it, but To your point. Fun game.
Yep. Yeah, that home field advantage and stuff. So last game we're gonna talk about Mississippi State at Bama. Okay. All right, let me say this. I'm kind of muffled, miffed, I should say, at what's going on down in Tuscaloosa, because it's like, yeah, it's all right. You're gonna lose some games. I'm not gonna sweat, losing the game. You lose games. It's just Nick Saban been there 15 years, only had 2 undefeated seasons, which is his first championship and his last championship, 2009 and 2020. Each other year there was a loss somewhere along the lines or something. A lot of times a loss you didn't expect. A loss to Florida you didn't expect. A loss to South Carolina you didn't expect, or a loss to Texas A&M or LSU you didn't expect. It goes with the territory. It's a tough league. You're gonna lose games. All right, that stuff happens, right? When we look at last week's game, and they lost to Tennessee. That's one of the games I lost, and I wasn't surprised. I went back and looked at the tape of our predictions, and I said, now if Alabama don't play up to their potential, or Bryce don't play, if he comes back after missing a week and he's not 100% or whatever, I said Tennessee could get them. Now, what I didn't expect was that Bryce would play probably the game of his life and they would still lose. I didn't expect that. To throw for 422 and complete like almost 80% of your passes and throw for 422 yards and 2 touchdowns and still lose. But I didn't factor into the equation committing a whopping 17 penalties.
Yeah,
a various degree. Now, I will admit there were some that the referees got crazy with, but there was a lot of them that they earned legitimately. I mean, how many times can you jump offside or false start? Which speaks of a certain undisciplinedness. I don't even know if that's a word. I think I just made up the word. I just made up.
It is now.
It speaks to an undisciplinedness that I've not seen at Alabama. And I'm back and look at some stats. TK.
Yeah.
Alabama leads Division I in penalties with 66 penalties. What the freak is going on here? Okay.
Talk about it.
You factor that in with blown coverages, one dude getting open all day long. What's the dude? Devontae Wyatt, 6 catches for 207 yards?
It's Jalen Wyatt, but it was Jalen Moss. I think we should refer to him as Jalen Moss for the rest of the segment. A whole lot of Randy Moss going on.
Yeah, he did that. And battle. You gotta cover some dudes, man. So with all that going in, and you got a guy, pushing a woman or whatever, and it's afraid, like, come on, Jerome. What are you doing, dude? Not Jerome, Jermaine. Sorry. What are we doing here? Of course, it's a side issue. We don't want to get sidetracked on this other side issue. We want to get to the game, but I always thought it was a bad idea to have fans rushing the field with the opposing team still on the field. That's just a recipe for disaster. You asking for trouble. It's like you got a thing full of gasoline, you striking a match, because especially when it's a heated rivalry like that is, and as much, I don't know if you might want to call it vitriol, so whatever you want to call it, between the two programs and whatnot, and then you got the play, and that was a stinging loss, and then you got the players still on the field, and you got liquored up fans. They within walking distance, they walking by, bumping into them. That's not a good idea, man. Yeah, I know it. Everything seems all hunky dory when teams win and everybody storms the field. Look at that! That's the greatest scene in college football. Yeah, but that's also something that could get stuff to happen that ain't got no business happening too. So can't be touching fans either. So I'm just saying, Now, having said all that, we got Mississippi State rolling into there. I think they're 5-2. They got beat last week. I think that's the other game that I couldn't remember. Kentucky beat Mississippi State. That's the one I got right. I got that one. Okay. They rolling in there, air raid offense with Mike Leach. Now I know if they looked at what Battle, and I can't remember what the other cornerback's name was. If they saw the performance they put on last week, they got to be licking their chops. Oh man, they could be had. Will Rogers with the SEC leading 2,300 yards passing, and 23 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. They're going to this game looking at, man, we're going to just throw it. We're just going to hang it up, just going to hang it up, just going to hang it up and see if they can catch us. And this is going to be an interesting game. This is going to be, this ain't going to be a layup because the Alabama I thought the team we was going to have ain't the team I think we have in front of us. So with that particular product that we have against this Mississippi State team, I think they ripe to be had. I'm not picking them, but unless we go back and rediscover some stuff, reach back and get some discipline and some fundamentals and some sharpness and some, this game could be a barn burner. So, what's your thoughts on that?
McKinstry, I believe, is the other corner's name.
Kool-Aid McKinstry, number 1.
Yeah. Barn burner for sure.
Yeah.
Which Alabama showed last week. They can keep up. So, they can keep up. They can score too. I think they're going to need to. So, this is a high 30s, low 40s type of game to me. Alabama is at home, so that helps. Look, I personally felt like Quinn Ewers doesn't go down. Texas knocks off Bama early in the season, right out the gate. And you're looking at a 2-loss Bama now. So, it's like saying that to say that defense has looked suspect all season.
Very mortal. They're looking very mortal, very average, very run-of-the-mill. They're not special.
Yeah. A little funny in the light. I think if there's a game for Will Anderson to impose his will, this is it. Because this is a team that's whole offensive approach is about being aggressive through the air.
Let me ask you something, TK. Yeah. Did we even hear Will Anderson's name mentioned last week? Because I said, did he play?
Yeah, he played. They did a good job.
I was wondering. I thought maybe he was, had pulled something early and then they scratched him. I didn't hear his name mentioned. I was just wondering.
He played, man. He played. That's
okay.
Not his brightest moments. That's impacting the game. But
I didn't see the injury report. I thought, man, maybe he didn't play. I didn't hear his name mentioned not one time. Usually he all over the screen. I just didn't see him. So maybe you saw him. I didn't see him. Maybe I got to get better TV.
Well, you set yourself up for these type of moments because he made that statement earlier in the year. Like, I wouldn't have said that around him. Basically alluding to other guys being beneath him to even be on the field with him. That's quite a statement. I don't know if I would have said something like that if I'm not Aaron Donald. Might be the only defensive lineman in the world that should feel like that. But yeah, man, just not to drag it. I just think this is a chance, this is an opportunity schematically for him to really, pin his ears back and have a whole game to attack because they're going to pass the ball a lot.
Oh, yeah.
Just for him to impose his will, man. So, and just the whole defensive line, especially the front four in general. So we'll see. I think it's a little bit of a style clash in that way. And that defense should be looking to redeem itself after that performance last week. Offensively, man, y'all got Jameer, Alvin Kamara. So,
yeah,
I love
that
everybody else sees that because I saw that myself.
Yeah,
I look around, social environment.
Yeah.
I see a lot of people see what I see.
Kamara 2.2. Yeah, most definitely.
Yeah. So that's good. And Bryce is back. Bryce looked good last week. He played well. So, I think they're gonna sharpen up the tools. They're gonna have a good game. I think they're still susceptible to a loss because of that, secondary. But I'm gonna double down on them again and pick them again to win. But they're gonna be challenged. But I think they respond in this game. Kind of no way I'm gonna pick a Nick Saban team to lose 2 in a row.
I mean, you would have thought that once upon a time, you would have thought a Nick Saban team wouldn't commit 15, 16, 17 penalties, but they've done that 2 times this year. Because I think the Texas game, they committed like 14, 15 penalties. So it's like, the heck's going on here, man? I mean, like I said, there's a handful of penalties always. Anytime you got a subjective penalty, like pass interference, anything like that, those are subjective. Those are referees' whims. And you know what? I think he kind of, pulled him a little bit, kept him from coming out of his break, that kind of stuff. So, but I mean, when you jump offside, when you false start, when you don't get to play off in time, you got too many men on the field, dude. That's stuff that, that's just, you would never think that a Nick Saban team with as fundamentally sound as they usually are, as buttoned up as they usually are, as detail oriented as they usually are, which is one of the reasons I like them, because those are the things I like. I like buttoned up, detailed, and fundamentally. I love those aspects. When you just out there willy-nilly and around, I'm like, you ain't good enough to do that, But many times they were good enough to do that, but I don't think this team is good enough to overcome that kind of stuff, So they need to get back to that. And so, no, I wouldn't think a Nick Saban team would lose 2 in a row. But I mean, and something you said, we're gonna go ahead and close this video out. But something you said, that Jahmyr Gibbs. I think Jahmyr Gibbs is one of the best players in college football. I started noticing him a few weeks ago. Of course, he's a transfer from Georgia Tech, from Dalton, Georgia, and I mean, he's second, I think, in the SEC rushing. I think he got like 635 yards and like 5 touchdowns. But he also, quiet as kept, leads Alabama in receptions with 27. And so the Alvin Kamara, as I was watching him, I said, dang, he looked like Alvin Kamara. And that's what I was thinking. I hadn't seen none of the social media. I don't be on the, NCAA, NFL, Twitter. I don't be on all that stuff. But when I saw him, I'm like, dude, that dude, he is, something to deal with in the passing game. So,
man, I like that. Really do.
Yeah. I think he's our second best offensive player. I think that he
had a play last week. He had a play last week, man, where I saw his second level burst, and I'm like, yeah, he hit that second shift. He hit that second gear. Like, okay.
Right.
Yeah.
One of those long scores he had against Arkansas. I think he had 2 75-yard plus touchdown runs.
Yeah.
One of those runs, man, it clocked him at like 23 miles an hour.
Yeah. Sundays, man. Sundays.
He definitely gonna be playing on Sundays.
Yeah.
I hope he ain't got nothing scheduled next year for Sundays, because he gonna be playing for somebody.
Yeah, he gonna be busy, man.
Yeah. So I just think that Bill O'Brien and needs to figure out ways to get that dude the ball as much as you can, man. The check down to that dude right there is like, wow. I mean, because usually you get 5-6 yards. That dude averaged over 10 yards a catch.
Yeah.
Now that's crazy for backs.
They do. Yeah.
That's crazy for backs, man. But he, the run after the catch, and then you never see the first dude bring him down either. He runs with power, and then once he gets in the open, man, because there's a couple of runs last week, I'm like, if he'd have got past that dude, he's not to be caught,
Right.
So that being said, I'm gonna go with Bama, and we're gonna see. And maybe Bama gets back to what they've been doing, get back to being dominant, get back to being fundamentally sound, and maybe they win 38-6 or something like that, like how I would expect they to win in a game like this. Or maybe it'll be 45-42.
I think we more like that. Something more like that.
But true to what you said, with them throwing as much as they throw, Will Anderson got to get a couple of sacks and maybe a strip sack fumble or something. He's got to get something like that this week.
This is his opportunity to really.
So I got Bama. I hope it's by more than a late field goal. I hope it's by a decisive margin. But, hey, a win is a win.
Well, especially with a loss on the resume now, because we're talking style points and we're talking, college football playoff that matters.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So now you didn't put your hand. See, you don't want to never put this. It's like in the boxing game. You never want to put the fight in the hand of the judges.
Yeah, you don't want to go to the ref.
Yeah. Now, don't go to the ref. Knock him the heck out. You ain't got to worry about that. You ain't got to worry about who got the most points and whatever. No, knock him the heck out and don't worry about it. So we both got Bama. So we'll see. So I got LSU. I got Oregon and I got Bama, and TK has got Ole Miss. He has Oregon and has Bama. So we differ on one. We agree on the other two. We'll get back together next week and see how it goes and see how our picks were. See if we're experts or do we need the dunce caps. Well, we experts anyway. Y'all just don't know it. We know it, but y'all don't know it. We know we experts. Y'all just don't know it. Y'all ain't heard yet. But we know what we're talking about. But that's all I got, man. Any parting words, TK?
No, man. Let's enjoy another week. That USC loss last week stunned me. So you know what I mean.
That was a good game too, man. That was a good game. That was every bit as good a game as the Tennessee-Bama game. That was a good game. That's like one you record and maybe a year or two go back and look at that, man. The passion in that. You saw Caleb Williams. That hurt him that they lost that game. Sometimes you think them kids don't care. That dude was like livid that they lost that game. I like to see that, man. I love passion when guys are passionate and it means something. Oh well, I'm still getting my Neil money. I don't care. No, that dude wanted to win that game. I love seeing that, man. I love seeing
man. Yeah.
So. But anyway, man, that's all we got, man. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Become a part of the Uncle Fred Sports Experience. I guarantee you will not be disappointed. That's all I got this week. Signing off. College football, NCAA Week 8 picks. And we'll see you guys on next week.